Speaker, if there was any member of the Executive who would have greeted with great delight the announcement by the Prime Minister this week that there wouldn't be a major cabinet reshuffle before the general election, it would have to be the Honourable Anne Tolley. And I think through her lack of passion describing her education portfolio at the tail end of that speech just shows why, when everyone thought the skids would be put under her before the election, she must have been so happy that John Key made that announcement that there would be no change to the reshuffle, because the National Standard slogan that she's trying to turn into a policy is a disaster uphill and down dale. And anybody who gets into it and delves into the issue to understand it gets to see that it was a slogan for an election, never meant to be a policy for a country. And that's what all the people tell you who sit in and look at that issue in a clever way, be that parents, be that students, or be that teachers. The same thing's coming through time and time again, that the slogan doesn't work as a policy. But then, of course, that's whole part of the mantra of Smile and Wave. Sir, I want to follow on from what the Deputy Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Annette King, had to say about the Mana by-election, because there are some really important issues for that election on the 20th of November that we believe are worth exploring. And Annette King has talked about the health issues that are there for that electorate. I want to touch on some of the transport issues that are in that electorate, because, sir, at the last general election, residents of the Mana and Otaki electorates, they thought that there was a bipartisan transport policy between Labor and National when it came to transport. They thought that both parties were saying the same thing, and in fact the National candidates went quite some way to wrap themselves in the cloak of the Labor government of that time, sir. They said they believed in Transmission Gully. They said they believed in the 90% government subsidy for a local two-lane Western Link road like the Labor Party had proposed and had funded. They said that they believed in the further electrification and double tracking of rail. These were the things that they said during the time of the general election. And then about a year or so ago, sir, in the dead of the night, Stephen Joyce, the Minister of Transport, who runs large swathes of the government behind closed doors, he decided he had a better idea than everybody else. Sort of a bit of a theme there, actually, but he thought he knew better than absolutely everybody, and he turned up and he said, I lived in this community 35 years ago, therefore I know what the answer should be. We should have a 4-lane, 110-kilometre motorway, autobahn, going right through the whole of the Kapiti coast. That's what he said he was going to do, and that was not what the National Party had campaigned on, and the community was taken by huge surprise because of it. Of course, the big, bold, decisive, brave, courageous National MPs in the area during the consultation period, when they were asked what their opinion was, said nothing. They had no opinion on the preferred option under the preferred period of the consultation period. They had absolutely nothing to say about that at all. They sat on the fence, waiting to see what the Minister of Transport would decide. And then as soon as he made a decision, they were gung-ho behind that, the greatest cheerleaders ever to have walked along the Kapiti coast. That's how bold and brave they were. Now, this week, sir, on Sunday, the people of Kapiti were meant to find out where that expressway was going to go. And the New Zealand Transport Agency spent $22,000 inviting people from all around the region to come and see what the plans would be. And as we saw in Question Time yesterday and today, Stephen Joyce, the Harry Potter equivalent of Lord Voldemort in this government, he discovered that there was going to be this issue coming up for the by-election, and he decided that what he should do about it was, well, if only Tohina had gone to Hogwarts, he might have been in a better state, but he'd joined any odd organisation, which is why he's sitting over there at the present time. But as soon as Stephen Joyce found out that this was going to be too close to the Mana by-election, he cancelled the consultation. So on the 2nd of November, they cancelled the consultation due to take place on the 7th of November until after the Mana by-election. Now, don't you think that the National MPs for the area would be outraged at this disenfranchisement of the people of Kapiti? Don't you think they'd be absolutely, they'd be waving pieces of paper around saying, this isn't good enough? There comes a time where you have to put community before party, and I'm breaking ranks with my government to make sure that our people get a say before the by-election. But guess what? Not a word, not a complaint, not a criticism, not a demand for a new series of dates. They sat there boldly saying absolutely nothing. Lambs in Parliament and lambs in the electorate. This is absolutely unbelievable. So, sir, now we know that these plans are going to remain secret because the government is scared of being able to release them to the Mana electorate. It is a disgrace. They should be upfront with the public about it and go back to the policy that Labor had at the last election that they said they were in favour of as well.
Paul Quinn. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to return to the theme that the mover of the motion started with, and that was the chaos that currently prevails within the Labor Party. And if we just have a look at the list that some of the names that the Associate Minister and Leader of the House mentioned, Charles Chauvel. Now, Charles, of course, I don't know whether you noticed, but Charles actually was having a secret squirrel session with Chris Carter this afternoon in the back there, you see, at the back of the House. And perhaps Charles has decided that perhaps the swing, the mood for change has re-emerged. And no doubt Charles actually wants to be at the front of the queue, because Charles does like the baubles of our office. There is no question about that. And so he wants to be where the winner's going to be. So no wonder he was up there. Grant Robinson, of course, spent most of the debate last night speaking against the motion. Okay? He got up 3 or 4 times last night speaking against the motion, and I look at the list, and what's it say? He voted for. Grant can't actually make up his mind, you see. He sort of naturally probably belongs with the Chris Carter faction, the 17 faction, but he's obviously decided that currently, while he's moved up in the ranks and at the front of the 208 fraternity, clearly he owes some patronage, some payback to the current leader. So he obviously decided in the end that perhaps he's making better grass where he is at the moment, but clearly he's one ready to jump ship. We then move, of course, to Ian Lees-Galloway, who again spoke vigorously and regularly on many calls against the bill, and again voted, I look at this, for. Now, I'm not quite sure, but he clearly was sort of a mirror image of Grant, because he really is in Phil's camp, and unfortunately he got a bit betwixt and between, but then that's not unusual, because he proceeded to tell us how the annual Sevens rugby tournament should be run, but then admitted actually he'd never been to one. But then that's not unusual from Labor Party members, because actually they spend most of their time lecturing people on things they've never known and never experienced. Trevor Mallard. Now here's a guy that has fought this particular bill tooth and nail, okay? Lost every battle he went in against. I look at the sheet, what's he done? He's voted for. Now, you know why he's voted for? I suspect he's voted for because he wants to actually make sure that he gets invitations to the corporate box. You see? He's a bit scared that the NZRU, and I know for a fact that he has already had a conversation with the NZRU about getting free tickets to the Rugby World Cup. And I know that for a fact. So he wants to, on one hand he wants to fight it, but on the other hand he says, well, if I don't vote for this, the NZRU won't give me a vote. And of course Shane Jones, my friend at the back, he in fact didn't know what to do.
Point of order, the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
I think I know it was done in humour, but I think there was some suggestion of motive, and in this case, actually very expensive motive in my regard as to a vote yesterday, and I just want to place on the record that is not correct, sir.
Yeah, order. I hear the member, but if the member having the floor had alleged that an outside influence had influenced the member's vote, that would definitely be an issue of order. But I don't think he quite did that. He put it the other way around. He alleged that the member was thinking about something, and I don't think that's out of order. And a point of order shouldn't be used to interrupt the speaker. Paul Quinn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And of course, getting to Shane. Now we take Shane. Of course, Shane didn't vote at all because he wanted a foot in both camps. He wanted a foot in both camps, and you know why he wants a foot in both camps? No, well, he wants to be the TMO. He wants to watch the video.